Shit.
Okay, we're live.
We're live.
Let me turn
All
my
right.
mic.
5 minutes late.
Hey man, better late than never. All right, it's just
My
kick
old
off.
teacher used to say, better late than never. Never late is better.
That's facts. But yeah, we just want to say real quick, like, thank you, Professor Raji, for like coming on here talking about BJJ with us. We want to like switch up the content a little bit.
Of course.
And what better way than to like something me and Mike are passionate about, or all three of us are really passionate about.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk to you guys.
Thank you. So they know about us, Raji, but let's talk about you. Like, you want to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I've been training about 20 years in Jiu-Jitsu, almost. I think next year, 2024, will be 20 years of Jiu-Jitsu on the mat. I started in karate in the late 90s, and that's sort of what led me to training in mixed martial arts, Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing, all of that. But it started in karate and then kind of branched into everything else.
Okay, so you started young, like it was something you knew like from the beginning, like that you loved.
Yeah, I started as I was a late teenager. I was like a senior in high school, 17, 18 years old when I signed up for karate. Honestly, I wanted something to supplement my swimming activity. I was a competitive swimmer. I went to school on a scholarship, and I was one of the top swimmers in New Jersey at the time.
That's fine.
But I was the top recruited swimmer in New Jersey. So I wanted to just kind of do something fun just to kind of supplement it. And that's how I got started, to be honest. And then after Olympic trials in 2000, after I didn't make an Olympic team, I decided to really train and do this full time and see if I could make a career out of it.
Do you still swim by chance?
I don't. No, I miss it.
Really?
It's hard. You ask any former swimmer, it's hard for former swimmers who spent so much time in the pool to just do it like recreationally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard.
Wait, why's that?
I don't know. It's like the massage therapist that like asks to get massages when they go home. It's like you've been there
you've done it so much. Yeah.
So you want to do. But when I am in the water, I feel great. I miss the feeling of being in the water. It's a lot of it's a time commitment too, to be honest. A lot of my time, extra time is either with family or, doing stuff for the school or, doing jiu-jitsu. So if I have any time, it's like jiu-jitsu related.
So like, let's just get a bit transition to that. Like, what got you into your own school? Like, how did you create Raji Barry Jiu-Jitsu school? Sure.
So I was going back to school at the time for to get my degree, to finish my degree for physical therapy. I was going to PT, and an opportunity came in at the last minute. Hey, legend.
My guy. Shout
out. To open a school. I had a former business partner. My old school, the name was Jaguar Jiu-Jitsu, Jaguar BJJ. I used to be in Edison on Old Post Road. Long story short, had I wouldn't necessarily call it a falling out, and more of an embezzlement happening, which I still have, unfortunately, some legal things going on. But I branched off, when I found out some things were going on with business practices, and formed my own name. The school was always mine. It was always me as the head instructor, sort of doing everything, running everything. It was just a matter of really changing the name, and making it my brand.
Thank you. We try, man.
But I wanted to ask, like, especially around jiu-jitsu, has the sport changed over the years politically and practically, and like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, the sport's definitely changed.
I hear like guys are like more like especially like on because we have social media now, like it's just submission heavy, like everyone just going for the kill.
A lot. Yeah, it's rule sets have changed, more opportunities, I think, for people to be able to compete. make names for themselves, be able to make a living off jiu-jitsu, whether it be opening your own academy, or just being a competitor. I think in the past, the only real way to make a living through jiu-jitsu was to have a school, to be able to teach, have students come in, recurring income, that kind of stuff. Where it's, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, martial arts and sort of like the health industry is a bit of a revolving door. With students as it is, you have people that come in that are excited, that want to do it, that are consistent. You have people that are excited that come in, they're consistent at first and then they fall off. And then there's people that, are excited, are never consistent, and then they end up falling off, and stopping anyway. So there's always a bit of a flow, with students. Luckily I have more students stay than go. So
that's great. And like, I forget which year you mentioned that you started the studio you're in now, but like, how was like getting your first student? Like, I know like there's a lot of aspiring business people out there.
Oh, it was, I don't know. I have the kind of outlook on life where just like things are going to work out.
God bless.
It's scary. Yeah. Thank you. It's scary. To kind of put all your eggs in one basket and, just go 100% into one thing. But, if you want something to succeed really in anything, you really kind of have to put 100% of your energy into it, no matter what it is. So I wasn't really fearful of it. I had taught for a major martial arts organization for many years. So I got to see how the business operated, how to form lesson plans. They really helped develop the sort of inner workings of being a school owner and instructor. So I'm very fortunate to sort of have that foundation. So there was really no doubt in my mind that I'd be able to make it work. I know what I have to offer, and I know how I, do treat people and would treat people in the future. And that was sort of what I relied on. I relied on me. That's the best policy, I guess.
That's what gets people in. I brought in my friend the other day, right? And he was like, "Yo, I want to get into it." Like, I wasn't like, he wasn't really passionate about, but once he came in and he was like, "Yo, I really like the coach you guys have, Raji."
Yeah,
and that's what really is gonna get people in.
That's cool.
I mean, it's about.
Listen, as I told you guys when you came in, I always want really welcoming atmosphere. It's not a babysitting service. It's not like kiddie care. It's a Jitsu school. I want tough, technical students, but I also wanted a place where people enjoy to be, where they don't feel on edge or they're walking on eggshells or they can't communicate certain things to people. I want an open environment like that, wholeheartedly. And I think we have that. And I think, everybody's doing a great job in maintaining that. I do what I can, but, you guys also are the mouthpieces and the representatives of that. So I think that's why we've had such a great crew of people coming in, because, when you have great people in there, I think just the environment just supports that.
Yeah, I think it's also testimonial, like regardless if it's like a product or service, like when you're in a good environment and it's like actually a good spot that people are in, they're gonna tell it to their friends or they're gonna stay there themselves. And when you see people have had their entire jiu-jitsu career at one studio, that says so much just about that studio alone. And you can see that especially.
I have I guess a humble brag. I mean, I know a lot of instructors that have been open a long time, that may or may not have produced black belts over a long period of time, and I'm really proud to say, probably in the next few years, I'm going to have at least like 10 homegrown black belts from
so fire, man.
White belt.
Shout out to the guys that we have got, like.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing
talent. In the chat too.
Of the people that that represent me and the school and also that rank, eventually. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see everybody's development. We were talking about Cheville and Schloke with a few students the other day, and someone had mentioned, oh, they had said, oh, they started. I think wasn't it you guys actually? They because you guys went to JFK. I think you guys all.
Yeah, Wilsonville. Shout out to them.
Yeah, so they've been my students since they were teenagers, and it's amazing to see everybody's growth and also potential. It's not over by any means.
Jay says he joined because of your way of teaching.
Oh, that's very nice. I appreciate
it. And then Arene had a question. Raji, what was your favorite moment in your jiu-jitsu career?
That's tough. Probably winning European championships. That was probably one of the most emotional performances or events that I've had in jiu-jitsu. I'm not really I am an emotional guy, but my wife just kind of looked at me. I am emotional. I am sensitive in that way for sure. But when I compete, I'm kind of not necessarily a different person, but I'm much more stoic and focused and determined. You can see a clear mental and physical switch. I was just honestly overcome with emotion. It was the first time that I've been to Portugal.
You went to Portugal for it.
I was with my old instructor, Jucal. He had done a camp out there. And I was a brown belt, and it was my first year at brown belt. And I went in and I won 7 matches to win gold, and completely cried and broke down. When they raised my hand, it was pretty.
That's so wild, bro.
Yeah.
That feeling probably felt amazing.
That's surreal.
I did. It's a surreal, feeling when you spend a lot of time and energy and emotion, preparing for something, and then the result happens of what you were working for. It's an incredible just release.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of them. I've had some memorable moments, but I think that was probably one of the few. And getting my black belt, honestly, that was another incredibly emotional time. I completely broke down in tears.
Guys, sorry, Moss. Guys, stay tuned to the end if you guys want to know our UFC 292 picks. Stay tuned to the end.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear that to the end
for sure.
But I wanted to ask, it's actually a 2-in-1 question, right? Mm-hmm. So, in regards to the European competition you had, were there any sacrifices that you had to make for that or the sport in general? And do you know your favorite position at the time and then favorite position today or move?
Sure, great questions. So let me start with favorite position. So exclusively at the time, I played a lot of half guard and deep half guard. I kind of started with the same sweeping and gripping sequence almost every single match. It worked a few times, and then I felt like, okay, I'm onto something here. So I just kind of stuck with that. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of how I sort of developed my half guard game, if you will. Over time it's changed, as with everybody's jiu-jitsu. It's definitely going to change over time. What you do now is going to be different than 5 years, 10 years.
Sure, yeah.
Your body changes, age also. When you're young and flexible, there's certain things that you can do, with your body and resist certain kinds of pressure. And as you get older, those things change. So your body and jiu-jitsu have to adapt a little bit.
And your favorite move in position now? Is it the same?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have a favorite move. I like head and arm chokes. I like chokes a lot. I like arm locks. Arm bars are probably one of my favorite submissions.
That's Mike's favorite, man.
From everywhere. Used to be chokes, like chokes from the back. But like I said, my taste and preference, changes all the time. It depends on what I'm trying to explore, maybe what I'm trying to change in my jiu-jitsu, or figure out other sequences or blend other things together. So, as a teacher, my focus, tends to be a little bit different now, where it's still on developing my game and my jiu-jitsu, but it's also trying to figure out ways to bring things back to the students, whether it be, my own material, studied material from other, instructors or players, or, whatever it is.
A lot of jiu-jitsu and just martial arts in general is self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your opinion on, like, because I think at some point, I think every, at least man or anyone that wants to participate, every person should do at least a martial art. Like, what is your opinion on that?
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, if you really want to know how to defend yourself, you should do striking also. I don't, I love jujitsu. Um, I breathe it and live it every day. But a full, comprehensive self-defense system, you need to know how to grapple and you have to know how to strike. You
Yeah.
both. Because if you're not great at closing the distance, even if you're a good grappler, you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you can't punch your way in, or at least 10 punches or kicks. As MMA aside, rules and all that.
Yeah.
Real.
I think everyone should learn how to defend themselves.
Yeah, it's so important.
Exactly.
I teach self-defense in the classes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too often, but sometimes we'll be in a position and I'll say, in a real situation, you wouldn't want to do this. You would get hit. You'd want to worry about punches and elbows from here. So I do like to add a practical model to my teaching sometimes, because I am a fighter at heart, and karate, Kyokushin karate, is a self-defense art, old Okinawa karate. So I come up from a very traditional background in that sense. So I think, self-defense and having a style of jujitsu also that lends for self-defense is what I prefer. I certainly don't mock or down anybody that has, more innovative, newer, sort of like modern jujitsu techniques. I think it's all great. I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing to watch and do. I love all of what jujitsu has to offer. It's just my preference. I like to use what I could use, not necessarily in a tournament, but also in the street, and also either with a gi or without a gi. So I'm not really bound by any kind of like rule set or, clothing that I'm wearing. I just want what's best.
Jay asks, how important was the support that you received from your family when you began your journey?
In regards to like
important. It's integral. My family, luckily, I've had a very supportive family my entire life, really, with any endeavor. My swimming career, I had, my mom and my grandmother as my support system. My mom worked. My mom's a jazz singer, so she sang a lot at night. So I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. My grandmother drove me to swim practice at 9 years old, at 5 o'clock in the morning before school. In fifth grade. There weren't many fifth graders getting up at 5 in the morning to go swim for 2 hours, and then go to school all day, and then do a little bit of homework, go to swim practice for 3 hours at night from 5 to 8. Do homework while I eat dinner, and then go to bed. And that was my weekly schedule. So no, without my mom and my grandmother, there'd be no way that I could have accomplished what I did in swimming. And then later in life, there would be nothing that I could do without my mom, my grandmother, and and my wife. Without their support, and my kids, obviously later on, their support means a whole lot. But my wife and my mom and grandmother, I mean, there's really nothing that I would tell anybody that I wanted to do where people would tell me not to do it, or give reasons not to.
Yeah, you learned. It sounds like you learned discipline mad early, like to keep going, especially because it can even.
You have to. I mean, if you want to be a world-class athlete, there's no way around it. You have to be disciplined, and it's something that you can be taught to have. Not everybody has it, but it's just something that I had from the start. Nobody had to coax me into going to practice. No one had to convince me, to go to workouts every day or sweeten the deal. There was never a time. In fact, I was always the one like, come on, we got to go. We're going to be late. I was always that kid. Certainly there are things in life that can maybe get in the way of your focus and drive and discipline for certain things. But as long as you have a good support system of honest people behind you that will continue to keep you moving forward. There's really nothing that that can stop you, or no way that you can really fail.
And that's one thing I think I've learned just from like my little time in jiu-jitsu is like discipline and like your strong will. Because there'll be times you're in a really bad position, you're tired, you're gassed, you just like you're in your fourth roll, and you're like you could just give up right then and there and let them like dominate the rest of the roll, but you have to really have that will and that discipline to keep going, and because there's always a counter to a counter, so you can
absolutely
try to find your way out.
And not everybody has that, not everybody has that, but they can develop it over time in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it takes people longer to get, but if you stick with it and you trust the advice of, your training partners and your coaches and instructors, you'll get it.
Yeah. Like, I remember we were like, when you were, what's it called? You were still recovering. So Mike Sparks was leading Nogi. He kept yelling at the end, like he was like, everyone get on the wall. And then he was like, we were standing up and like running in place basically. And then he yelled sprawl like 14 times in a row. And I was just like so like gasping for air. And I was like, I thought I was going to throw up and stuff. I keep going. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, like, who is your greatest like BJJ / martial arts hero and why?
Another great question. I've had a lot of good influences in jiu-jitsu. Probably, I don't know. I mean, I've had good influences like from afar where I've like observed what they did or how they moved on the mat and then maybe tried to emulate that. But honestly, probably the most one of the most personal connections that I've had was my old instructor, Jukao. He's probably been one of the most profound influences that I've had in jiu-jitsu. Unfortunately, we no longer speak, but I always give credit when it's due. Regardless of personal, things happen between people or whatever. It's the fact of the matter is he was a huge influence. He taught me a whole lot and really changed the way that I look at jiu-jitsu.
That says a lot about someone's character too. Like I have people like that are in my life or that were in my life, but you still got credit when credit's due. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Even though we don't speak, I still have, love for him and respect, because he's the person who promoted me, and I'll always have that, aside from just, personal differences.
Yeah, for sure. Any advice you have for anyone that wants to start jiu-jitsu or has started? And like
they haven't, do it. Don't stop making excuses of I'll go next week or I'll wait until this happens or I need to lose a little bit of weight first. That's always an interesting.
That's a big one. Like I was talking to my friend about that today because he wanted to do boxing, and he's like, "Yeah, when I cut down," I'm like, "Bro, you can cut."
How are you gonna lose the weight?
Yeah.
Like just do it. Just sign up for it. And you'll lose the weight. You'll struggle at first, but this notion of like, oh, let me lose 20 pounds and then everything will be fine. I don't know if this is a great analogy, but I've said this to people who have been in relationships and are like thinking about having kids or gonna have a kid, and I'm like, listen, if you love your partner and you want to have a family, just do it. Like you'll never have enough money in the bank. You'll never everything will never be perfect. It'll never be the ideal situation, and then you'll keep putting it off and keep.
You just gotta make it work.
So just do it.
Yeah, that's a big one, especially in like our generation. Like a lot of people say that they can't afford kids and whatever, and that's fine to an extent. But you have to cut down on other like wants that you have, especially when, like, in my opinion, I think a family is perfect when you have like some children.
Absolutely.
If possible, right? And I don't know, especially in my generation, a lot of people are so quick to give up.
Yeah, a lot of people are I've noticed, well, even people my age, it depends on their character, but people can be, fleeting a bit. It depends on the person, I think.
would you have any advice for like white belts like me and Maz to like we're just starting out?
Or even like what
Sure.
techniques do you think would like
I mean,
work
there's
best?
a lot of like cliche things you can tell beginner
Yeah.
students, concentrate on your breathing and just understand that jujitsu is a lifelong learning process. So there's not like a period of time where there's just this complete total understanding of what you're doing. There's always a relearning, revamping process of jujitsu. So
I'm
if you
glad I
keep
found it
that in
too.
mind to know that, then you won't get as frustrated as often, right? Like, never put a timeline of like when you feel like you need to learn something or you need to be as good as somebody else in any amount of time. None of that matters. It's just based on your ability, how much information you're retaining. Granted, if you're coming often and you're still making some of the same mistakes after being pointed out, then we have to kind of look at like, okay, well then why are you doing this? Why are you not thinking about the result? Like, you keep getting armbarred in the same position, keep putting your hand on that hot stove. Why are you not realizing it's still hot?
Yeah.
So
Like
there could be like a disconnect. Maybe there's just sort of kind of mental disconnect, physical disconnect, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But patience, patience in the fact that like you want to get good because you're learning, which is great. But just know that it's
Doesn't
not
come easy.
always like a linear move. Yeah, sometimes
Or
it's
yeah.
sometimes it's down, sometimes it's up and down. It's more like a wave. So just kind of take whatever comes your way, really, and the ups and downs of jujitsu, the highs of it, the good feelings of when you're able to do things. You're able to get submissions, but also the lows of not feeling great, the lows of not being able to complete positions or not understanding something or getting beat in positions. That only, I think, builds you, to be a better player, but also a better person. When you're faced with obstacles, adversities, or whatever it is, your desire to push through that only builds you up as a stronger person. So I think that's an important thing just to consider, for new students, and stay consistent, honestly.
Yeah.
Do the best you can to really make a consistent schedule. It's much easier to stay with, and you'll thank yourself for it later. Of course, life happens, things get in the way. But having a real regimented, consistent schedule will help you stay on track for sure, because it's easy to fall off.
Yeah.
Then
Like
Aruni,
my mindset is to like just be better than I was yesterday.
That's
like
all. Yep.
For
Don't
example,
compare
like,
yourself against anybody else. Say, well, they, John signed up, 2 months before me, and he's better than me. He beats me. Like, all right, and so what? Who cares? Just keep working on your development.
For example, like Slope taught me the closed guard escape, right? And I was like, hey, yo, if I did this on me yesterday, like I would have did myself.
Oh, you both of you guys would destroy the yourselves from day one.
Day one, yeah, for sure.
And that's another thing too, is when new students train, it's hard for you to recognize your progress because you're also training with other people that are also improving.
Yeah.
So there's never a time where it's like you're standing still, where you get to kind of look around and say, oh, here's where I am amongst the pool of people.
Yeah.
It's not until you get a new inexperienced student come in, like for their first week, and then you roll with them, and then you realize like, man, I can, after a month of training, I can do whatever I want to this person.
Yeah.
So
Like,
that's it's a weird, but it's a, I know it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I know. Like when we first signed up, we go to this like gym I told you about in Madawan, and one of the owners there, he does jiu-jitsu for like I think he's like a purple belt now, and he told us that you're never gonna feel like you're good until someone new comes in, and then you roll with them, and then you're not the worst of the worst anymore.
Yeah.
And
I still feel like I don't know a whole lot. I know what I know in jiu-jitsu. have an idea of what my level and expertise is, but
Mhm.
you know, you're always going to be very critical and honest. I think that's another thing, is being very honest about your ability and where you are. You know, if
Mhm.
you're not a world champion, it's okay. You know, it's like
Mhm.
not everybody's going to be a world champion, and not everybody needs to be a world champion to be good at jujitsu or to have it be a fulfilling thing in your life. You know, people get caught up with competitions and, you know, their status in the jujitsu world, and, you know, if they're famous or not, and, you know, those things are great. You know, they matter to you, but you know, when you break it all down, it's what's most important is how you feel, and also how you make other people feel, right? Your impact on other people. And I think that ultimately that's really the most important thing, is not necessarily like my own accomplishments, because you know, when I'm gone, you know, nobody's going to care about, you know, the medals that I had, but they're going to care about, you know, the academy that I built, and how I made them feel, you know, and how I might have helped them, you know, change their life for the better in some way. I think those are the important things, you know, in life and in martial arts in general, your connections to people.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That also reminds me, because me and Maz do have this channel, and it's about Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lessons like that, right?
I've
Like,
been watching you guys. I
yeah,
listen. Yeah, yeah.
thank you,
Man,
thank you. But lessons like that, right? Like, where it doesn't matter about fame and stuff like that, like how someone that's lower in status in society could be leading the prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and you're standing next to a millionaire, stuff like that. Same with jiu-jitsu, right? At the end of the day, it's like by skill, and
That's a
and like
wonderful
when
thing. When
you
you're
yeah
on the
when you
mat, you don't know
yeah
what other people do.
yeah
yeah.
You don't know how old they are. You don't know, you know, if they, you know, they make 30,000 a year, or they're worth 300 million. You know,
Mhm.
everyone
exactly.
is stripped down to the same gi. Everybody has to tie their belt, you know, the same way. That's one of the things that I love about martial arts, is that it's like it's a clean slate. Um, there's no like political, socio-economic advantage that you can have in jujitsu. You know, because you drive a BMW is not going to make you better at jujitsu.
For
Yeah.
sure.
You know, it's just the time that you spend on the mat. So I think that that's a major equalizer, and I love that. I love that about jujitsu.
Rooney asked, who's your favorite current UFC fighter?
Current,
Yeah.
probably Adesanya.
He's
Okay.
tough.
Okay.
I think
Big
Okay.
the,
big
the
fan. I
last
don't know,
appearance though, he
Judah,
was,
but this is a good time to be a fight fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
It's the best
there's
time.
so many different kinds of fighters and personalities. I mean, I've been
Mhm.
watching UFC since the beginnings, really,
Mhm.
and I, you know, each sort of generation changes. Like I remember, you know, the Chuck Liddell era. You know, I watched through the Matt Hughes era. Um, you know, the Tito Ortiz era, the Anderson Silva era. So everything, you know, sort of changes. Mighty Mouse, he's definitely one of my favorites too, for sure. I was really upset when they traded him for Ben Askren into ONE FC. I couldn't believe that
Mhm.
they did that. Um, Demetrius Johnson's still, you know, best probably flyweight ever. Um, yeah,
I was gonna
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say like as a second degree black belt yourself, like what are your thoughts on Gordon Ryan? I know he's
So I have a unique history with Gordon. So Gordon and
Mhm.
I used to train together.
I saw the role on YouTube.
We trained together for about 4 years.
wow, that's
I
insane,
was
bro.
at Brunswick. I was at Brunswick Jiu Jitsu from 2000, actually 5 years.
Wait,
2009.
because he's from Jersey, right?
He is. He's from
Yeah.
Monroe.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
went to
That's
high
crazy.
school. So he trained in East Brunswick with us. This guy Haz Ibrahim was the owner of the school at the time. But Gary Tonin was also there. Although Gary was still like a full-time student at Tom DeBlass's in Lacey in Tom's River. But Gary started to come up a little bit more often to train. So I got to train a lot with Gary and Gordon as a blue and purple belt, because I came to the school as a blue belt. I had received my blue belt at a place in Brooklyn when I was still living in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved back to Jersey, when my wife was pregnant, I wanted to find another school to train. So that's how I found Brunswick. And Gordon, he was a teenager. He was like 15 at the time. And I used to teach his Saturday teens class. So I've had a lot of experience, with training with Gordon, teaching him. Everyone in the academy knew that he was going to be the best in the world at some point.
Wow.
He was that good from the beginning. We called him the phenom. It was like a running joke in the academy. It's like, oh, here's Gordon, 15 years old. He's just going to beat up on a bunch of adults now. He had really good back control and triangles, even back then. So it's been really cool to see his development in jiu-jitsu. It's thoroughly impressive of what he's able to do. His understanding of jiu-jitsu, not just his understanding, but his reaction, and his ability to implement technical jiu-jitsu without being super fast, explosive. He's just head and shoulders technically above everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
I watch his stuff and I'm just like, wow, like this guy's like he's 5 steps ahead on the chessboard every single time.
He absolutely is. As far as his internet presence, I don't love that.
He's a very cocky guy.
I think he can he can continue to make the same name for himself without shitting on other people. I think letting your actions, speak, is tremendous. The phrase "actions speak louder than words." I just don't know maybe why he feels the need to talk all the time, or to shit on other athletes, all the time, because it doesn't hurt his brand at all.
Yeah.
To build other people up. In fact, I think it would heighten his brand if he was nicer, I guess, if you will. I know that sounds corny, but if he tried to kind of bring everybody up with him. I don't agree with the fact that what he's done for jiu-jitsu is helping other people. I think it's lining his pockets. I think it's helping his status in jiu-jitsu, but I don't think it's enabling other competitors to make the money that he makes. He's able to do it because he's Gordon. He can make however much, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on BJJ Fanatics because he's Gordon, and I don't think it's opening the door necessarily for other people. But I think it is helping in some ways. I think the digital media and marketing help spread jiu-jitsu a little bit more. It does give eyes on people maybe who aren't as known, but then again, sometimes they fall by the wayside because they're not known. They don't get the big push of media and advertisement on Instagram, and their amazing X guard video could be down on the 82nd page of video, whatever. No, so it does give that platform, but to what degree? Well, we'll see.
If you guys stick towards the end right now, well, you came at the right time because we're about to do our UFC 292 picks right now.
292.
But I think before we even go into that, actually, we'll go into that right now. Let's see.
What do you mean, say, Moss? What do you mean?
Dylan said, "Who's your favorite current jiu-jitsu player?"
My favorite probably of all. I have a few all time. Roger Gracie is one. Jacare Souza is another one. Marcelo Garcia is another one. The Marcelo is the first jiu-jitsu DVD that I ever got and saw in it wasn't 99. It wasn't 90s. I think it was 2000, 2001.
We saw it. Okay. Let's go into the picks for tonight.
Okay, we got this first one. I don't know really too many lower guys, but if you guys want to,
going Chito Vera all the way. My wife is Ecuadorian. My kids are half Ecuadorian, so
shout out Ecuador.
Shout out to Ecuador.
Shout out Ecuador. Shout out Marco.
Yeah.
Shout out Marco. We have this one. I see these guys like
here. I'm gonna go with Batista.
Batista, okay.
Yeah.
You got this one.
Ian Gary.
I see him. He's a funny guy.
Ian Gary. I like him a lot. I like him on the mic. I like his personality. I think he's gonna be he'll be a star in the UFC if he gets the right fights.
He definitely has the personality.
I think Gary by. I have to give like a prediction of the outcome too.
You could.
TKO.
What round?
Beginning of the third.
Beginning of the third.
We'll go here.
I got Zhang.
Zhang Weili is gonna punch a hole through her head.
The last fight, she was just completely dominant. It was like not so even.
Fire. She has power that is just insane. Yeah. You know, as a strawweight female, the amount of power she can generate.
Insane. She won TKO last time. Like
it's unbelievable.
I seen a video of her lifting Francis Ngannou up in the air.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy.
Like, then we got the main event.
Yeah, so I was talking to Moises about this today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, anybody's got a puncher's chance. Yeah, I'm gonna say Aljo.
Why?
and also Aljo, I was a huge fan of his, and then that Peter Yan DQ just kind of soured me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like how he handled that. So I've always been a fan of his. I've been watching Aljo since he was an amateur and the local pro circuit. Aljo fought on Ring of Combat card, which is like one of the major East Coast promotions. I fought on Ring of Combat also. There's a lot of major East Coast guys that fought on that. So I've seen him for the last 10, 12 years fighting. So I was a fan of his. I know his ability. He trains with Matt Serra, his jiu-jitsu is legendary, obviously, both in jiu-jitsu and in the UFC. So yeah, I think Aljo chokes him out too. I agree.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you about a couple UFC fighters. Then we have like 2 more questions, and we'll let you go, man.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna name some, and you're just let me know quick, like, and not like
word association.
Yeah. Upcoming guy, Bo Nickel. What do you think about him?
Impressive.
Perfect.
What do you think of Khamzat Chimaev?
Potential to be seen.
Okay. What do you think of Volkanovski?
One of the greatest.
Charles Oliveira.
He's a dog.
Islam.
He's a dog.
No, you love it.
Islam's a beast. Islam's just he's a machine.
The Dagestani guys are crazy.
They're machines.
Yeah. You know why too? Like, you know that air pressure there is just so high. That's why their lung capacity is so low.
They fight at elevation, but also you know, I mean, this could certainly be another topic of conversation, but I wholeheartedly believe it's also connected to their faith in Islam.
Yeah.
Their amount of focus and discipline and ability to eliminate distractions and they don't live a material life where they're constantly working to try to have material things in their life to enhance in some way. Very simple. A very simple culture, and I think it lends to just a more productive person, especially if you want to be a world-class athlete.
Yeah. I think Islam is the reason. Well, I think it's one of the reasons why
athletes convert to Islam.
Yeah, a lot. I know
a lot of people.
What's his name?
Charles Oliveira, Alex Pereira,
Kevin Lee.
Yes, I actually just recently watched. Hanane had sent me a YouTube clip of Kevin Lee. It was about an hour and change, and a great interview. Really insightful.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say, like, I think Islam is one of the reasons why Khabib was able to win over Conor. I know Conor was like really
The
just
polar
like
opposite, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Polar opposites.
Yeah.
Connor kept like antagonizing him and taunting him the entire way. Like he's like, "Oh, you want to drink my wine? Sorry, not my wine, my whiskey." He was just antagonizing him during the press conferences and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, he offended his
yeah,
family, his wife. He called his wife a towel or something like that, which is
it's just
disgusting. Yeah.
We have a few more questions. So Raji, you've had the school, you've been doing jiu-jitsu for so long. You probably still have goals. So what is your goal going forward with your gym, Raji Barrett Jiu-Jitsu?
Sure. To continue to expand, continue to grow organically. Like to, maybe start advertising a little bit. I don't advertise for my academy at all.
You can, Raji, I can help.
I've built my academy through word of mouth and referral.
Yeah.
So I think organic is a really good way to go. Like there's a lot of successful businesses at that.
I would like to expand, in the next 2 to 3 years. I would like a bigger space and academy. My ultimate goal is to have a full training facility, multiple mats. So I have a mat for jiu-jitsu, a mat for striking, have a strength and conditioning area as well. That would be my, ultimate
full-fledged gym.
Yeah.
Inshallah, bro. I mean, we'll make prayers for you, Raji, for that to.
Well, hope so.
That's fine, man. But I think what you're saying before, like especially organically and word of mouth, I think it's a big one, especially in today's day and age where sure people are getting like so much attention from social media because it's such a powerful app. But I've seen businesses specifically towards fashion, because that's what I'm really interested in. And people like people will blow up on social media, their Instagrams will blow up, but I won't see them get as much traction as businesses that are totally organic, that don't really post reels, and it's just word of mouth. Like,
well, it's all like, it's the lights and the gold and the flashy stuff, and it's like it might not even be real. It's like you can put the lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. So I'd rather rely on just real stuff, real person to person connections, and hopefully teaching good enough jiu-jitsu, and like we talked about earlier, creating a good enough environment that you want to bring people.
Yeah, like shout out, I hope Aruni's still watching this right now, but shout out to him because his stuff is also just pure word of mouth over the last few years.
Absolutely. I've referred people to him. I've shared Aroni's Instagram page to people. Even as a fellow student, and that's the kind of community that I have and that I want to have. If somebody
this shirt's been changed too.
Absolutely.
No, when you made that connection with people,
back to jiu-jitsu, still waiting for him to come back.
Yeah, bro, where are you at?
Bro, where are you, bro? Like, where, bro? Like, Bradley's been trying to get him in, but now Bradley's in Tokyo, so
yeah.
I'll tell him if he's still watching, he can't come back unless he gets me a size 12, the Yuto Horigome SBs that are gonna.
But when you made that connection with people, it's nothing better, bro.
No, there's nothing better than that, honestly. It's
seeing everyone succeed.
It's a great job. It's hard, sometimes because you deal with so many different personalities and expectations too. That's a whole other conversation of people's expectations of me, whether it be realistic or unrealistic, as well. I've always tried to make myself accessible. But at the same time, I am also like a father and husband. And have a life outside of jiu-jitsu, as well. So it's all about perception and expectations too. And I think if everybody's on the same page, then, we have a cohesive place. And I think everybody is. I think for the most part, everybody's on the same page.
Yo, thank you for coming on, Raji. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
In this short amount of time, you've been such a great teacher. Like, you're such a great coach. So appreciate you
for the future.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man.
It's crazy because
I'm looking forward to the future.
Especially I know for me, I never thought about pursuing jiu-jitsu. It was just a side thought that I was talking to Mike in the gym about it. We were just mess around and just roll whenever, just as a joke. Sure. But then he was like, "Yo, let's just check out the school. I know Aruni and Bradley go here." And I was like, "All right, bet." So we go for the class, and then just seeing your energy and the overall way you handle the class, and then I also met Mike Sparks, and
Mm-hmm.
him like instructing me was a really good thing as well. And
as
just
I told you guys when
we
you
have a family
too,
here.
I said,
You know what I mean?
Brad, you're friends with them. You're good with me.
Organic, yeah.
We're good, yeah.
Family, yeah, it is. Well, thank you for hopping on, Raji.
Of course,
Have
anytime.
a good night. We'll see you in class.
For sure.
Yeah.
Maybe see you tomorrow for open mat, Moss, tomorrow.
For sure, yeah. I'll
Yeah,
see you.
yeah.
Are you there tomorrow?
Yeah, I should be there tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. See you
All right.
guys.
Have a great
Thank you,
night.
everyone in the chat. It was fun.
Thank you, guys.
Raji.
I
Take care,
appreciate
guys.
you having me. Thank you. Enjoy your night.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.